Hey everyone, welcome back to the HA podcast. Today we have a story. It's story time. They are the best episodes. I have Nina with me. Nina was a client. We last spoke back in April, so it's been a little bit that she's been getting her cycles, and I wanted her to come on the show and tell her story because it is, you know, she just has like a really great, not 2-week recovery turnaround story, where like it took time and there were changes and it was hard and there were things, obstacles and yada yada. So I thought she should come on and tell her story. So welcome, Nina.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Would you please tell everyone like who you are, how old you are, where you're from, and then like where your story begins?
Yes, of course. So I'm Nina. I live in Hamburg, Germany now. I'm originally from Austria. I'm a psychology student, and yeah, I've pretty much always loved exercising of all sorts, even in my childhood. And growing up, it's just always been a really, really big part of my life. And then somehow it didn't really, I don't know, it started getting a bit more excessive around puberty. And I've struggled with HA for like probably 5 to 6 years.
Okay. And why did you have HA for 5 to 6 years?
It pretty much started with really bad body image and really bad body dysmorphia growing up. I think it's just because suddenly my body started changing because of puberty, and I really didn't know how to handle that. It really freaked me out because I was going through a bit of like gender identity crisis at the time. So just my body changing really just triggered something inside of me. And I was probably around 12 was when I first had like those like I need to lose weight, I need to like exercise even more, I need to eat less thoughts. And like yeah, that's probably when it really started. And then eventually I really struggled with an eating disorder and a lot of quite like OCD, sports addiction topics that caused my HA pretty much.
Mm, okay. And so at what point did you, well, actually, first of all, before I ask you, like, what point did you realize you had HA? What was that experience like? Like, sometimes people, it's one of two ways. Some people are like, honestly, when I felt at least that like I was thriving
Mhm.
at that time. And then other people feel the opposite. So like, what was your experience at the time?
I definitely thought I was thriving and like I was the fittest I'd ever been. I really thought like this was peak life. And
Mm.
I never wanted to see that what I was doing was actually really hurtful to my body. I just thought that what I was doing was healthy and what was good for me. And I never really thought about the actual consequences of not having a period because I never really like consistently had one. So, I mean, of course, I thought this is probably weird, like a weird thing of my body to do, but it didn't, I don't know. I didn't care as much because I thought that my lifestyle was really healthy and that I was thriving and that I was so fit and that I could run longer distances than ever before. So I was like, I must be healthy then.
Right. Okay. So then at what point did HA come to your attention?
Probably through TikTok and just the whole, I mean, at first I didn't know that HA was a thing. I just thought that losing your period is something to do with my eating disorder, but it didn't have like a name. Like I just thought that is a consequence of under eating, which it is a bit, but I didn't know it had a name. And then all suddenly on TikTok and Instagram, probably, I just saw that not having your period because of exercising too much and restrictive eating habits is actually like it just like an illness and it has a name. And then when I really like looked into it was probably when I went to my gynecologist and he basically just told me that that's what I probably have and that my hormones are all looking like um yeah, like AJ.
Okay. And what did you think about that?
I didn't want to believe him.
Okay.
At first, I was really struggling with thoughts that maybe I have PCOS, maybe this is all not true because I went to a lot of different gynecologists trying to find a reason for why my period is missing. And nobody ever really told me that I might have PCOS, but I feel like I kind of wanted to have PCOS because it would have
Yeah, dude.
excused my controlling behavior.
Such a good point. It's actually fascinating how really some people will fight with us about like, no, this is PCOS, or I'm worried it's still PCOS, when it's like, well, actually you're hoping it's PCOS,
Yeah.
which is so fascinating because it's like HA is a natural normal bodily function
Mhm.
and PCOS is like a disruption of
Yeah.
a natural process. And so like it's a syndrome.
Yeah, that
And
was totally me.
yeah, but you're like, well, that, this particular illness or whatever situation, condition would better suit my lifestyle,
Mhm.
which is like
Yeah, that was
actually wild.
totally me. Because it just excused it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So for a little bit, you were battling kind of like two voices. One that's like, well, this is what the evidence is showing me this is. And this other voice is like, I guess it's, in a nutshell, saying what you want it, like what you kind of want it to be.
Yeah, because
Um,
that would meant that I could still live my lifestyle and just be fine.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about the process of like, because this is so common. Basically you hear about HA and then you want something else, whether it's to just ignore it or think it's something else or try to resolve it through like supplements or something.
Mhm.
But what was the journey of realizing and coming to terms with what it actually is?
It was really, really tough because I think I deep down knew that it was AJ, but I just really tried to convince myself elsewise. Like I did everything in my power to like think about all the different reasons that it might be, like except from AJ, because I just couldn't let go of that control of like knowing how much I exercise, knowing how little I eat, controlling what my body looks like. I was just so afraid of letting go of that that I just didn't want to accept the fact that I'm actually really hurting my body.
Hmm.
And I think at the time I didn't even realize how much of like exercise I did and how restrictive my eating still was. Because if you would have asked me at the time, I would have probably told you that my eating is fine and that I'm doing a lot better. But looking back, I know that that's just not the truth. And I just told myself that to kind of excuse my lifestyle.
Yeah, okay. And if I remember too, this is interesting. So we'll circle back to like the me thinking that I'm eating enough, or at least telling myself that I am. Okay. So you come to terms with, okay, like this is probably the path I need to take. You're leaning more that way by the sounds of it. You're more like you're 80%, okay, fine. This is my situation. So what do you do? What are the first things you try to change? What are the first steps you take?
Mm. It really took me a long time to fully allow myself to like heal and really like honor what I have to change because I knew what I had to change, but I didn't really change it. I never, like in the first couple months of coaching, I never really allowed myself to let go of the control in my head. Like I knew that I was eating first thing in the morning and I had some snacks in between, but deep down I still knew that I I still knew exactly what I was eating and how much I was eating, and that was still like an okay number in my head. And it looked like I had changed a lot of things because it looked like a lot more food, but really it wasn't. I had just contributed it differently.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, okay. So you're like, I'm making these changes that I feel comfortable enough making, which is very
Yeah.
normal, right? We'll have some things that we're like, okay, well, like maybe I'll increase my nut butter, something like that. So what were the things I do find this interesting. We don't ask this much on the show. What are some of the things that like you were more comfortable doing at the beginning by yourself, like making changes?
Mm,
Specifics, like I was more comfortable eating more protein. Like what was it that was easier?
it really surprised me that I was pretty comfortable with taking beef liver because I've been a vegetarian all my life long, and then at first it really scared me, but then I ordered it and I just took it and it never really bothered me again. Um,
Interesting.
Eventually I also really it was really okay for me to eat first thing in the morning. I mean, I think it sometimes it still really triggered me because I would try to make myself sleep in for longer. So I would kind of still like eat later on throughout the day. Uh,
Oh, basic, sorry, hang on. You would do that specifically to not eat as early?
yeah.
Okay, that's a new one. I'm gonna add that to my book
Yeah.
of things that people do. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I did a lot of that. I would make myself stay up really late so I wouldn't know I would sleep in longer, and then I could just, like delay my breakfast a little bit.
Okay.
But that never really worked because my body would just wake me up at 5 a.m. in the morning and be like, you're up, even though you've only been asleep for like 4 hours. Yeah. So I think that really was my
Right.
body, like fighting against it.
Yeah, potentially even making some things worse because you're not
Hmm.
sleeping as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm kind of guessing based off you saying that, like, did you have a tendency to prefer to like have most of your food in the evening? And that's
Yeah,
why
for
you,
sure. That's just what felt safe because I was always really afraid of what if I'm getting hungry again. And then that just really triggered me. So I always tried to like just have the food that I'm still allowed to have later on during the day.
right, because if you eat it all earlier in the day, you'll feel weird eating more later, or you may not eat more later. So then you go
Yeah.
to bed hungry, and that's a really uncomfortable feeling. That's really very common.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women listening right now going, yeah, I am afraid of going to bed hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So that's obviously you're trying that. One way or another, you feel like it's not working. Like it's not getting you the whole way.
Um, Probably when I realized that my temperature wasn't really rising as much as it was supposed to be, and that I wasn't ovulating, and that I deep down knew that I wasn't letting go of that control. I knew that I still had like all that control in my head and that I was still very restrictive of food, and I was still definitely like figuring out how much I ate that day, how much I can still eat, how much I get to eat, how much I exercise, how much I don't exercise. It was all still very obsessive in my head. And I think at
Hmm.
one point I really, I don't know when that really, I think it was really late on, like during the coaching, that my brain actually like allowed me to switch. I think it was like probably at least 3 to 4 months in when my brain really just switched.
Yeah, just was like, this is fine. Okay, so at what point do you have in this story, have you already started the coaching or are these changes you made before you did?
No, that's already during the coaching.
Oh, okay. So pretty early on then you reached out for help.
Yeah,
Okay. And why did you do that?
because my gynecologist told me that that's like, well, what's wrong with me, pretty much. And then I told my mom, and my mom pretty much told me that it's either that I'm getting help and that or that I do it myself and try to manage it myself, or that she really wants me to like go somewhere like to like a different place, like a clinic or something where they will help me do it. And that was the last thing I wanted to do. So I already knew the podcast, and then I told my mom about it and she thought it was a good idea. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, she was like, you just have to be taking action in some
Yeah.
way. Okay. So then you did that pretty early on. All right, all right, all right. So now we're back to some of those changes. It was easy for you to supplement with beef liver. It was easier than you thought to eat
Mhm.
breakfast. when we really got you to start doing it first thing in the morning. And then so this is an interesting topic then. People are afraid to eat in the evening, sorry, to not have enough food in the evening.
Mhm.
It's very common. And so delaying or skipping breakfast is common. Did you have, so were you concerned about eating more upfront because you were worried about how it would affect your evening?
Yes, for sure. I always thought that whatever I do in the morning is going to affect my evening, especially around food. And so I just wanted to like have a little bit of food freedom because sometimes I couldn't plan my days and then I would just skip in the morning so I could potentially have more in the evening.
Okay. Okay. So when you finally started having a full breakfast, what happened?
Um, it really it was really like breakfast especially was really healing for me because it was like this little reminder every morning that I still do this recovery and that I deserve breakfast. And to me, breakfast is so much more than just the waking up and eating because especially in the beginning, I remember like laying in my bed at night and really just thinking to myself how I can stop recovery and how I really want to like relapse and go back to all the old habits I ever had, but then still waking up in the morning and choosing to have my breakfast.
Ooh, so every night it felt like you wanted to bail out of this situation, but in the
Yeah.
morning you would like dig deep enough to make it happen. And I imagine, right, like once you do the breakfast thing, like you know, you've already said yes. Like you've already hit a success on that early
Mhm.
on, so you may as well keep going through the day. Was
Yeah.
that your experience? And did eating earlier change how you felt about food and hunger later in the day?
A little bit. At first, it really triggered me because I felt like when I eat in the morning, I'm more hungry throughout the day. And
For real.
really triggered me a bit because I never really felt hungry anymore. That's just not something I don't know, I just never really felt that anymore. And then when I started having breakfast, that feeling came back, and that really at first freaked me out a bit. But eventually it made me realize that I have so much more energy and that I am just a lot happier in general without restricting myself
Yes.
first thing in the morning.
Amazing. Yeah. It can be shocking. I mean, that happened to me too, and I would suddenly be waking up at 5 a.m. like breakfast really
Hmm.
early on in the first um like couple of weeks of really doing recovery, right? And what's happening is our metabolism is finally kicking up. It's like, oh my God, we're eating. We've got this. You literally added fuel on an empty gas tank, and now you can move forward.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, very quickly, the body actually starts asking for more.
Hmm.
And that's fascinating. And then you give it more.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, you have more energy through the day. It's been asking for that the whole time. Okay.
Mhm.
And then what about your psychological state? How is that evolving the longer you go consistently eating?
Um, it At first it was really hard and at first it didn't really evolve. I think there wasn't really a lot happening at first because I still very much was holding on to all the restrictive thoughts in my head.
Mm.
But a couple months in, a lot changed. I don't really know what exactly was like the one point that made the switch in my head. But eventually I just tried to eat more for just a couple of days and I tried to remember to myself that I can always go back if I hate it. Like I would at least try to like let go of that control for like a few days. And I just tried to keep on mind that I can go back if it's really, really bad. And then when I would wake up in the morning, I would think to myself that I haven't gotten this far to go back now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think I recall we would often with your food review look for an area. It's like I just want you to add more here. We
Mhm.
just need a bomb here, right? A calorie hit here. And that was hard to implement. But
Yeah.
all right, so you did, and really just with like bravery and I've come this far and you know, that makes sense. Okay. And then what happened?
Then I got my period and that was really lovely. And in general, taking my temperature really helped me because I would see that on days that I did exercise because I just could not because I just couldn't deal with the thoughts inside my head. I could see that my temperature was dropping. On days that I was restricting, I could see that my temperature was low. And so it really helped me to wake up every morning and see the consequences of what I did.
Mm,
That definitely really, really did something. And then also just getting my period was really like a big, big reward and something that, yeah, obviously made me want to keep going.
yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So I'm trying to look now at the timeline here that I have for you. So, uh, you and I check if this is the right name. Let me put your. So you and I started. It's weird. The chart that I have for you, the chart that I have for you says May 14, but I
May or
wonder if you had just put your. Well, you and I started in October 2024.
mm-hmm.
So there's that. And it looks like your first period, it's actually kind of hard to make sense of this one. Looks like your first cycle, though, was October 9.
Mm-hmm.
And you did start charting October 1, and we first met on October 1.
Okay.
So don't, I think I might have just, girl, look at this. Do you think that I might have just asked you to start a new chart? Um, but you had marked 3 days of bleeding. So we started working together here.
Mm-hmm.
And then on October 10, you mark a bleed for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Is that familiar?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
y'all,
really,
we don't even
really
remember what happened here.
no,
But I'm pretty sure you didn't bleed 2 days, like one weekend.
no, I also don't
So
think so.
we're gonna ignore that and assume that it was actually up to here. So December 10, does that sound more like when you got your
Yeah, that
period?
sounds a lot more like what happened.
Okay. So we went almost 70 days. So we went 2 and a bit months.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, so we tell everyone like average 3 months is average is the 3 months. And you had said you were like, it wasn't till like 2 months in where something
Yeah.
finally clicked, which
Mm-hmm.
I would vouch for. I remember it feeling like it took a minute.
Mm-hmm. It really
For
did.
like deep, yeah. But it's interesting looking at this chart. Do you mind if I post this episode on YouTube?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Um, Looking at this chart, it's up and down in the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
then somewhere along the way of making sufficient changes, it really tightens up here. And
Yeah.
like you were dropping really low. You were doing
Yeah.
96, yeah, like well below 36 Celsius, below 97 Fahrenheit. Having some come up, and is this where like the you were noticing like the dips with exercise and
Yeah,
busyness?
exactly. The really low ones were probably the days where I exercised before. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. And then yeah, they really tighten up and now like they're not at all dipping. Had you stopped exercise completely at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened because I went on a trip with a friend and I couldn't exercise. And for the first time, I was really like, that was the time where I finally just thought to myself that I might just let go of the obsessive thoughts in my head and just really like do recovery for a few days. And at that time, I thought to myself that I was going to do it for the duration of the holiday. And yeah, that's when it really, yeah, when I stopped exercising and started really eating.
Yeah. Yeah. And like this is what I love about the chart is like we can see it.
Hmm.
Right. So it's giving us real actual feedback that not enough people give it credit for. Okay. And so then boom, at 54 days plus the 9 days from the other chart, so 60 something days, you ovulate. here, and it's not perfect, but it's clear and obvious and in existence. So that was awesome. Okay, and so that's where we're at in the story at this point. You get your period, very exciting. What did you think? How did you feel?
I felt very happy about it because it definitely scared me a lot how I was just letting go and really doing recovery. But I did also know that in the back of my head, I still had a lot of thoughts of like, what if, like, once I get back from the trip and I get back like into reality, I did still have like relapsing thoughts in my head. So it was a bit scary, but my period definitely really helped me to stay consistent and to not go back.
Yeah. And so this, however, right, this next chart compared to the previous one went a bit whack again.
Hmm.
Right. So what happened this month to get that second, because we don't talk about it enough on the show, is like the second period and the challenges that can come with that.
I I was really scared of gaining weight. I think that's just always been like my main trigger that I thought that once I gain weight, I'm no longer gonna be happy. No one's gonna love me anymore. My friends are gonna hate me. Like I actually said that out loud to my best friend at the time. I was like, what if I'm no longer
Mm.
skinny and everyone's like people will just stop liking me?
Yeah.
And that was really just so scary to me because I could probably like around that time see like a few changes on my body, not very much, but in my head it was a lot. And that really triggered me and wanna made me want to go back.
Yeah. And so very common, right? We have the period now. We're having a little bit of trouble fully quote justifying the changes we're making now. We feel like we're kind of well, we're recovered. So how do we keep on doing these behaviors consistently? So
Mm.
you were trying to stay consistent, but you're battling this fear at the same time. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing you let up on a few things somewhere. Do you know what those were?
It was I feel like at first when I before I got my first period, it was a lot easier to do certain things of like letting like not exercising and eating a little bit more because there wasn't really any visible changes that it was doing to my body. And then throughout my second cycle, it was when I started seeing some changes and noticing a difference and noticing that I'm hungry a lot more. And that really freaked me out. And sometimes I just
Mm,
couldn't really take the thoughts in my head of not exercising and not allowing myself to yeah, led into my restrictive eating thoughts and habits.
yeah. Okay. So was it a bit back and forth where like sometimes you would
Yeah.
eat consistently, but then you would kind of freak out and have like a day where you didn't? Okay.
Yeah, it was
And that's
usually
like
the
what it looks
days
like.
when I was with friends that it was really easy for me. But whenever I would be on my own again and it would just be like my responsibility to eat and not to work out, that's usually when it got bad for me.
Interesting. Okay. And the chart looks like that, right? I love how it's like a mirror of life. So you actually went 46 days that next cycle. And I tell people like that's actually expected in a way, but it's not normal, right?
Hmm.
It happens commonly on average, but it's not ideal. So the next month we have a totally other situation.
Yeah.
Cycle four, technically. Well, this is actually cycle number three.
Hmm.
Um, only 18 days.
Yeah.
Do you remember that month?
Yeah, I do remember it, and I remember that it really freaked me out because I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, right. And to this day, we probably don't know, but it does occasionally happen in the early phases. But then the next month, we're back where, because I didn't mention that 40 something day cycle, ovulation wasn't clear
Hmm.
either. It had probably well, actually, yeah. So for two cycles in a row, there is no confirmable ovulation. And I actually think for two cycles, you probably didn't ovulate
Hmm.
looking at this. And then this next one, much better. 39-day cycle, sure, could be tightened up by a week, but clear and obvious ovulation, much easier chart to read. So do you recall this month and what changes you had made that month?
Yes, I actually went to Bali that month.
Mm,
So at first that really scared me because I know that like traveling and time change and all that can be really stressful like on your body. So I didn't really know how that was going to affect me, but in general I was resting a lot. I wasn't really exercising. Like the most exercise I did was yoga. And that was just very different for my body. I remember that going on that trip, I forgot to pack my running shoes. And that really, really freaked me out at first. But looking back, I think it was the best thing that could have happened to me because we were gone for a whole month. So it was my first like complete month without running. And I think forgetting my running shoes really healed a part of me.
interesting, the universe getting in the way there because
Yeah.
it was good. It was a you ovulated at higher temperatures than the first month that you did. It was just a big improvement.
Hmm.
Traveling potentially contributed to why it was a little bit longer. But then, the following month, similar, and this is the last one we'll look at probably, but well, no, we'll look at the next two. So then the following month, similar with a 44-day, but a much better ovulation. So things were moving forward, which is expected, right? Typically, not everything is perfect out the gate. This month, you're home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
just like,
that month I was home, and I remember that before I came back from Bali, I was really scared because that was the first time in my life I had ever felt like I might have outgrown my pants, and that's never happened to me before. So I really did not know how I was gonna feel coming back home, and I remember just crying like 3 days straight because I was so, so afraid of coming back home and having to like put on jeans again and not knowing what they will feel like on my new body.
mm,
So, yeah, I remember that really freaked me out. But I think in that month, I did obviously come back home and I just packed up all my jeans and my uncomfortable pants without even trying them on because I just couldn't and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to see what they would feel like on my body now. So I really just packed them up, bought new ones, and saw that nothing happened, that I didn't die just because I outgrew my pants.
yeah, you're like, I am still standing here, and the
Yeah.
pants are just tighter or whatever. Okay. So that first month we see like your chart is really tightens up, is super neat and is the tidiest. It kind of falls apart a bit. This is a beautiful example for everyone where like we really do say sometimes the first period is actually easier. And
Hmm.
then the consecutive ones have their challenges because like you are bleeding, so now you're in your head for all of these different reasons. And so it shows how the mental and emotional side of the healing process, as well as getting optimal cycles, it's just like it can take a while and it doesn't happen overnight and you don't wake up just like quote unquote healed.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So, but it sounds like, you're still having some fears, but you show
Mm.
up and do the thing and you come out on top with a day 33 ovulation and an 11-day luteal phase. Like massive improvement, massive win. To go into your sixth cycle with a beautiful bleed phase, a ovulation that actually may have been, it was either day somewhere between day 15 and 17. We're going to
Hmm.
call it 17, which is beautiful. And then you have a 14-day luteal phase. Slightly low temps, but still very clear and obvious 14-day, neat and tidy mucus pattern, 31-day total cycle.
Yeah.
You would have been like, oh, who am I?
Yeah. Yeah, that helped me a lot because it made me realize that actually like what I'm doing is working and that it's not for nothing.
Yeah, yeah. It's not for nothing. And it's beautiful because, yeah, because it was hard. Like, it was hard to get there. when we say like you could expect to not have a perfect cycle for the first 6 months and to have
Hmm.
a robust cycle potentially after a year. Robust
Yeah.
meaning like it's hard to kind of mess it up easily, but it's like you chip away and you can feel like you're not getting anywhere, but like actually you look up and then back at your past charts and you did get somewhere
Yeah.
and you did
That's
something
what
really
really
hard.
helped me. Yeah.
And some people be going through this process without like looking at these having this evidence to look back on.
Yeah, that's really hard because that's pretty much probably been like my biggest help, seeing how what I'm doing every day really impacts the next day already. Because sometimes it was really hard for me to do something today that's gonna help me in a month, you know, like where I could see that
Yeah.
what I'm doing is changing something in a month. That I don't know, that just it irritated me that I would have to wait and then I would have to do it for like a month and see if it worked or not. But with my temperature, I could just take it in the morning and see how my body's feeling.
Get something that you
Yeah.
can potentially work with. And you don't always, sometimes you get something that tells you to wait, that you still have to
Yeah.
wait longer. But it's yeah, and it's helpful over the course of a week and 2 weeks versus yeah, like waiting 1 month to see engaging success off of a month when if you had a 40 something day cycle and then your next one is 33, that's actually a massive improvement of 1 to 2 to 3 weeks. But if you're not
Hmm.
tracking it, it actually feels like not that much of an improvement,
Yeah.
because you're still going like over a month.
Yeah, and you're not
And
seeing it every day.
yeah, you're just like not, we're just not good at remembering, like storing that stuff in our head and then analyzing it like objectively. So
Hmm.
that's awesome. Okay. And so here you are today, still working on things, you're 8 cycles in.
Yeah.
Oh, we actually nearly got through all of them. So your last one was 33 days with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. With a 13-day, like it looks great. Like it's coming together.
Thank you.
So where are you at now? Like what's life look like? How is your relationship with all of it?
I'm definitely doing a lot better. I know that it's still a daily struggle, and I definitely still struggle with my body and also food. And I do definitely notice that when life gets a bit more stressful, I tend to want to just go back to the obsessive thoughts inside my head, and I just want to
Mhm.
compensate and have something in my life that's stable, but I also do remember that it gets a lot easier because it really, really does. And I just I kind of just get through it, and then once I realize that nothing happened to me after gaining weight and nothing happened to me after I skipped a workout, that's probably what really helps me, that I realize that nothing happens and that the fear inside my head is quite very irrational.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair, right? It's like it's good to just see how many irrational thoughts that we have sometimes,
Mhm.
right? And then the fear is real and it still like brings up an emotional response for you. Well, that's not going to go away overnight.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of bravery, honestly. And at first trust, but as time goes and you don't die and everything is working out, it becomes less like you have that trust. You kind of know it's going to work out. So yeah, it's cool to see how right, it's like you don't just get your period back in 4, 5, 6 weeks and then feel better. It
Yeah.
takes time and consistency and work, but clearly like month over month over month, something feels easier.
Yeah. That's very true. And it just gets a bit more bearable. Like, even saying that I felt like I would die if I gained weight sounds so overdramatic, but it really, like, at the time, it was so detrimental to me that I generally, like, gaining weight wasn't even an option because felt like dying. It just felt like there was no after. And gaining weight and realizing that nothing happens and even saying it out loud and accepting that that's just what happened, that really helped me. And just sometimes I have to remember that even if I gain weight, nothing happens. Like I do definitely notice how the anxious thoughts still creep into my head and are trying to tell me that I can't gain weight and that nothing, that if I don't work out today, something really bad will happen. But then I just ask myself, like, what's going to happen? And then it's just the gaining weight. And I have to remember that nothing happens. That even if I do gain weight,
Yes.
life isn't over. And I still get to wake up every day and do the things I love. And I'm still me, even if I gain weight.
Yeah, you stop. Beautiful. Exactly. Like in it, when we're in it, we really feel like it's a life or death situation, and I need to fix this problem now. And I need to compensate from this day where I'm feeling not good about myself now. But as you go, you're having those thoughts, but you're acting how you want to. And that's the epitome of you're now the one navigating your anxieties versus having your anxieties navigate you. And
Yeah.
that is actually HA recovery. It's not like, oh, we all just like gain weight and we like love our non-ideal societal situation, right? Like that's not how it works. What it is that realization of like, oh, actually, in exchange for eating more and like carrying realistically a pretty inconsequential amount of extra body fat, I get to have my life back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the opposite of the fear I was having.
Definitely. It was also a lot about letting go of that identity because
Mhm.
being skinny and being very athletic and running and doing all the sports was just like who I was. That like it really felt like that was my whole identity. And gaining weight, I think, was so detrimental to me because it felt like it would take away my whole identity. Because growing up, people would often reduce me on it and just, I don't know, make me feel like being skinny is like the only important thing about me. So that was really crucial to just allow myself to let go of that identity because I just no longer need it. I no longer have to be looked at a skinny athletic girl.
Wow. Yeah, so that's not my story, so I don't relate to that, but I could see so many other people listening
Yeah.
relating to that. And it makes me think, you know, when they fear losing that identity because everyone else is putting that on them. The
hmm
second someone tries to tell me what my identity is, it makes me want to be like, F you. F you, you think that's my identity. So a whole bunch of women are out there right now trying to live up to that identity because everyone else has put that on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the thing. You're going to allow everyone to tell you that that's what you are and that's
Yeah.
the worth that you bring. Like, you're going to fight for that. That's
hmm
the hill you want to die on.
Yeah.
That's the best you got to offer. Like, that's crazy town. It should be
hmm
yeah, like this is actually an opportunity to fight for the fact that you're way more than that.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So that's the story. It's awesome. I appreciate you sharing it, coming on, being so honest. What
Of
is
course.
something there's a girl out there. She's just like you. She's young. She's in school, maybe. She's not trying to get pregnant. She's just trying to do this for her own health. And she's struggling because the identity, it's scary to make this change. What would you say to her right now?
Probably to just try it. Try it for a week. Try it for 2 weeks. See how it feels, how it goes. And I know that it can sound very toxic and weird to say that you can always go back, but that's really what just helped me a lot. That I remembered that I could, even if I gain weight now, I know how to get back. Like I know how to lose weight. And even if it's as bad as I thought it was, like the gaining weight part, I knew I could go back. So I would probably tell them to just try and see what the new life looks like. And eventually it made me realize that living without all these obsessions and rules and restrictive behaviors is actually so much more fun than having an identity based around my body and the things I do.
Beautiful. And I get how you're like, this could sound like toxic, but I did the same thing. And I often have that conversation with clients because they're just, because we're catastrophizing it so much. It's like,
Yes.
my life is over. If I gain this
Yes.
weight, I will never love myself again. And right now, like it's healing to because it's real because reality, the truth is this is temporary. And yeah, you know what? If it really is true that you gain this weight and your life sucks so bad, fine, go back, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't really happen. Like that
No.
people, to just trust that trust that you're like most people, right? They'll go through it and you'll be like, oh, okay, like this is actually better. But hey, if it sucks and it doesn't work for you, it's not permanent. Go back to your HA. Like
Mm-hmm.
do whatever you want, right? Just give it a
Yeah,
shot.
for sure. And I think community also really helped me because
Mm.
I do definitely still see the pattern that when I'm with my friends and when I'm with people that know about AJ, at first I thought it was gonna impact me negatively to tell people about my AJ because I thought that it would keep up that skinny identity and keep up that, I don't know, that eating disordered girl identity. But finding the right people to really do recovery with you, that really, really helped me because it made me realize that the portion size I was eating was fine, that the amount of food I was eating was okay, and that it was not like abnormally a lot.
Right. So good. Like there's so much delusion to unpack.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nina. We appreciate you for coming on the show and telling your story
Thank
and for being just open and honest about how everything went. I'm so glad to see you just crushing. And thanks everybody for joining us.
thank you.